Hello, and welcome back to the Ambassadors of Gaming. I am one in your army of hosts, Ambassador Michael, and today I will be narrating for you Darrell's thoughts on the newest Kojima game, Death Stranding, and what he's thought about it, and a little bit about what the game is actually like, and maybe a description for those of you who are wary on the game and unsure what to make of it. People have asked for this, and I've kind of spent most of the day getting impressions typed up. Death Stranding is the first game by Hideo Kojima's Kojima Productions, and his first title since his departure from Konami back in 2015. It was revealed in 2016 during Sony's E3 conference. We play as Sam Porter Bridges in a post-apocalyptic environment called the United Cities of America, UCA. He is one of the world's porters, or what most people would know today as a courier. The UCA was once what we knew as the United States, and in our future, America suffered greatly with a series of catastrophic explosions, unleashing supernatural events called the Death Stranding. Since what is left of America is isolated communities, we have a dangerous environment where bandits will hunt you for your cargo if you touch the area, known as mules. And since you don't have the opportunity to see other carriers or porters, then figures encountered on the landscape are going to be these bandits and who will be able to scan your cargo. We also have the supernatural creatures called BTs, that roam parts of the wilderness and can ultimately threaten the existence of humanity. They are generally invisible, but your sensor, known as the Dex, connected to your bridge baby, also known as BB, can help as it starts spinning wildly when present, plus the sign of rain is usually the first indication. Sam, who is played by Norman Reedus, more famously known as Darrell Dixon from The Walking Dead, has to deliver various supplies such as materials or medicine to these isolated colonies across the country and reconnect them to a chiral network, which will slowly rebuild the world they will find themselves forced to survive in. Now let's look at the game itself. Visually, it's very impressive. Even the character of Sam is instantly recognizable as Norman Reedus. We have impressive lighting in play, and texture quality as we see it is of high detail, helped by the Decima engine most recently used in Horizon Zero Dawn. Death Stranding is a treat visually, using Sam as an example in the original reveal. The technology of photogrammetry and motion capture used to portray Norman Reedus in that setting is brilliantly used. It really shows off a close-to-life-like recreation. And that detail is clearly evident as soon as the CGI intro starts and leads into the gameplay. The audio and sound effects are on point, from calling out in the hills and hearing your echo call back or another person to the soundtrack. Every aspect is of high quality and extremely well polished. The story is very deep and so far laid out within game narrative, data you can read on the go to flesh out the backstory, or mostly in the form of lengthy cutscenes, something you should come to expect from Kojima. Personally, so far I've had no issues with them. They've mostly been a decent length. How does the game play is there are varying features here, and I will try to break them all down for you. Movement is smooth and fluid, even when carrying several pieces of cargo, and the weight shift feature, where you can lean left or right to keep your balance, is easy to use. You just hold, for example, R2 if you're leaning too far to the left, the opposite if you're leaning too far to the right. The frame rate in movement feels smooth, which helps quite a lot. As if the game was struggling with frames while dealing with BTs or navigating the barren landscape, it would be less enjoyable and feel like a chore to play. Bad frames drops would make this close to an unplayable game. There were occasional dips apparently before the day 1 patch, and these were minor as reported by Eurogamer. On the base PS4, again thanks to the article by Eurogamer and work by Digital Foundry, it seems the game is still running really well. My gameplay was on the PS4 Pro, so I had to look elsewhere for performance on the base system. As I said, it is a barren world, so combat I've seen a little of, but being unarmed, you can use environmental aspects such as long grass and rocks to an advantage, and it felt smooth and easy to perform. Micromanagement is a feature of this game, something we saw in Red Dead Redemption 2. We need to drink for stamina, occasionally eat, and you do need to find food on the landscape. You need to watch your stamina and your blood levels as well as your BB stress levels. Falling over, they can get upset and they can cry like a baby would, and you have to rock them and soothe the BB to get it back to go to sleep. Getting the BB to stress, you will need to go back to a distribution center, and you'll get instructions on all this in the game. It sounds really complex, but it's one of those things like Red Dead where it's introduced very slowly. You will also need to monitor the state of your boots. Too much damage and your feet will eventually suffer. Me personally, all the management side of this I've enjoyed. Others may hate it. But as we talked about in our Reviewers Out of Touch video, the group chat we've done, recently released publicly, even big, selling, highly praised games can get harsh or negative feedback. Placing equipment when you have acquired it is easy to do, and it aids your progress in various ways. From ladders over rivers and on cliff faces, ropes down steep climbs, and watchtowers and shelters from the rain. Rain can damage and degrade your cargo, as can falling or prolonged exposure in rivers. One feature I love is someone playing the game can place a ladder over a river and you can use it, and like the work they did. You can put up signs to warn others of danger or say this is a good route. You can find drop cargo and place it in post box either you or other players made or in distribution centers. It's a shared world, but you don't see the others, just the path they created. For example, one person can be one side of a river and place a ladder to a rock. This appears in someone else's world, and they place a ladder on the other side. A third person can come see this and connect both sides, therefore creating a kind of bridge over the river. But until you've linked the center to the network and the area that you're covered in, you don't see the shared placement. Once you go to these hubs and connect the world, that's when it connects you to the online and lays out what other players have done. So this placement of equipment you have, as well as potentially others helping you, as well as your cargo, you must have, and the weight limits affect how you get to your destination. You need to know that there's a risk of BTs and mules needing to cross rivers, etc. It turns what some call a walking sim into something a bit more strategic and tactical, and you need to be able to adapt and think on the fly. Getting detected by mules, you do kind of need to go back and temporarily leave cargo, take them out, or do as you can and progress. As the mules are a separate group of people who steal cargo and will want yours, you can raid their camp and steal bug lost cargo as well. So question is, after 3 episodes and playing for a few hours and getting some impressions on what is one of the most talked about IPs at the moment, is it worth your time? Well, I would recommend this based on what I've played, and what I felt playing it, and what I expected from it. When the first gameplay trailer hit, I saw very little to entice me. It was when Hideo Kojima gave us a 50-minute demo where he explained a lot of aspects of the tools and combat and shared world, which I think was the third gameplay video, which sold me into considering buying it. But going back to will I recommend it, well, it's a yes for me, and I do recommend looking at the gameplay that exists and if this game's features and core gameplay interest you. If you're thinking you're getting a Metal Gear type experience, you will be disappointed. It's completely different. If you hate vast, desolate open worlds, then this game could not be to your liking. If you hate cutscenes of length in games, this may not be for you. I don't mind them, I just prefer we didn't need them, but I can't score this down over that as well. It's not a fault, just personal preference. Also, if you hate micromanagement in games, do some further research into this, as again, it may not be to your liking, or you might not like all points raised you may be able to live with. If you're prepared to try something different and love heavy focus on story, then I do recommend it, but it still may be not your thing. Yes, you do deliver lots of cargo, but it's more than just walk from point A to point B, deliver this, move on, deliver that, move on. There's a story in there. It's a game crafted with care, love, and precision. Plus, it's how you reach the objective. There's no right or wrong path, it's all up to you. Also, it is still likely to have some replayability, but where I can play The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption over and over, this one I will beat and return once or twice and try new approaches. I can only give my thoughts on how I find the game and what it provides, as there's a lot in this to describe, and it has to be up to you to decide if any of these aspects are unsure to you, or if they're not something that interests you. There's a lot of depth here to the mechanics in the game. But to summarize everything, we have a visually stunning open world story, which I've played. I sense there's more to it than just reconnecting America, but rediscovering the history and the achievements and culture that at the time are seemingly lost. We have a complex action adventure with more depth than it appears on the surface, something not unheard of with Kojima titles. But I am intrigued to see where the story leads, where this title goes in terms of sequels or prequels, if we get any. And that's all, folks, for Death Stranding. Darrell has lots of thoughts, and obviously the rare game you need to describe, so please let us know if you've been playing Death Stranding, what you think of it, how you feel about it, whether or not it's something you're interested in, and after this video, what you think about it, whether or not it may be for you. Until next time, friends, I'm Ambassador Michael. I'm going to leave you with the screenshot bonus round, and we will see you in whatever we do next. Please do all the engagement stuff. Like, share, subscribe, share, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you feel like it. Every little bit helps, and we appreciate it so much. Goodbye.